Nobody in the room that night knew the truth. Not the board members. Not the employees. Not even the arrogant CEO himself. But when a quiet young woman placed her trembling hands on a cold steel safe, she wasn't just opening a lock. She was opening the past. A past filled with betrayal, pain, and secrets hidden away for over a decade. And when that safe finally creaked open, what was revealed left the most powerful man in the city completely shattered, while the woman he mocked broke down in tears. Pause. This is the story of Alexander Pierce, the billionaire CEO who thought love was a game. And Clara Evans, the woman who proved him wrong. Inside the boardroom, tension hung in the air. Laughter echoed as Alexander leaned back in his chair, his sharp jawline lit by the city lights behind him. With a smirk that made his employees shift uncomfortably, he pointed toward the massive safe in the corner. "Alexander, if you can open this safe, Clara, I'll marry you." A ripple of laughter went around the room. To the onlookers, it was nothing more than a cruel joke, another arrogant display of power by their CEO. But Clara, she didn't laugh. She just stood there, her hands tightening into fists, her heart pounding. You see, Clara wasn't just an ordinary accountant. She carried a painful past, one connected to locks, safes, and secrets she had never fully understood. And as her eyes locked on the safe, something stirred inside her. The camera cuts to a warm, flickering memory, Clara as a little girl, sitting at a wooden table while her father worked on locks. His voice was gentle, patient. Father's voice, echoing. "Clara, every lock has a rhythm. It's like listening to a song. If you're patient, the safe will tell you its secret." Her father, a locksmith, had once been famous for his skill. But his career ended in tragedy. A wealthy client had betrayed him, leaving him disgraced, penniless, and broken. Not long after, he passed away. Clara had lived her whole life under the shadow of that shame, never knowing the full truth. Now, in this boardroom, she stood face to face with a safe that seemed to call her name. Act 3, The Attempt. Clara walked forward slowly. Every step felt like the weight of her father's ghost pressing down on her shoulders. She knelt in front of the steel door, her hands brushing against the cold surface. Alexander smirked, sipping his whiskey. "You really think you can do it? Not even the best professionals in the country could crack that thing." Clara ignored him. She pressed her ear to the dial, turning it ever so slightly. Click! Click! Her breath grew shallow. The sound of laughter around her blurred. The minutes stretched into hours. Sweat ran down her forehead. Her fingers ached. The crowd grew restless, some whispering mockery, others starting to doubt. And then, it happened. Click! The sound was sharp, final, undeniable. Clara froze. Her chest tightened. Slowly, she pulled the handle. The safe opened, gasps filled the room. But what they saw inside wasn't what they expected. No gold. No cash. No diamonds. Instead, a dusty wooden box. Clara's hands trembled as she lifted it out. She opened it slowly, and inside, neatly stacked, were letters, photographs, and a worn journal. Her eyes widened. She recognized the handwriting instantly. It was her father's. She flipped open the journal, her voice breaking as she read aloud, "My dearest Clara, if you are reading this, then the truth has found its way to you. I was betrayed, by the man I trusted most. He framed me, destroyed me, and that man was Pierce. The room fell into stunned silence. Clara's tears fell onto the pages as she read on, letters of love, of sorrow, of warnings. Her father had known the truth all along, that Alexander's father, the elder Pierce, had built his empire by crushing her family. Alexander's face turned pale. His glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. For the first time in his life, the powerful CEO looked powerless. Clara closed the journal, her hands shaking. Clara! You mocked me. You humiliated me. But it turns out, the only joke was on you. Your father destroyed mine. And you, she looked him dead in the eyes, you locked away the proof. Without another word, she turned and walked out of the boardroom, leaving Alexander in stunned silence. The whispers in the room grew louder. For once, nobody laughed, days turned into weeks. Alexander tried to reach out, but Clara ignored him. But something had changed inside him. For the first time, he saw the emptiness of his wealth, the hollowness of his power. He began to rebuild his company's culture, raising wages, giving back to the community, and righting the wrongs his family had committed. But more than anything, he pursued Clara, not with arrogance, but with humility. He didn't send gifts or money. He volunteered at the charities she worked with. He listened. He showed up. Slowly, painfully, Clara began to see that he was changing, not for the cameras, not for the press, but for her. Months later, Alexander invited Clara back to the boardroom. But this time, the safe was gone. There was no audience. No smirk on his face. Instead, he stood nervously, holding a small velvet box. Alexander, softly. Clara. I once made a bet. A cruel, arrogant bet. I told you that if you opened that safe, I'd marry you. But the truth is, you didn't just open a safe. You opened my eyes. You opened my heart, and now? I don't want to marry you because of a bet. I want to marry you because I love you. He opened the box. Inside was a simple, elegant ring. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Not the tears of pain she shed that night, but tears of hope, of healing. And slowly, she nodded. Clara. Yes, Alexander. I'll marry you. The screen fades to Clara and Alexander walking hand in hand, leaving the skyscraper together. Nobody could have predicted how that night in the boardroom would end. A cruel bet. A locked safe. And a secret hidden for over a decade. But sometimes, life has a way of turning pain into purpose. Because love isn't about power. It isn't about wealth. It isn't about games. It's about truth. It's about redemption. It's about opening the doors we keep locked inside ourselves. And when we dare to open them, what we find can change everything. Fade out.